Good morning, Year 3, and welcome to the Set B set of questions for 5 Children in It. I'm not going to be rereading the text again because I read that in the previous video, and you should have it in front of you for today. So I'm just going to dive straight into the questions, and we're going to go through and just see the best ways to achieve full marks in each of the questions. So, question number 1 in the vocabulary section says, look at the section that starts, "Let's look," said Cyril. Find and copy one word that means scared. So, let's look is the word bit I'm looking for. There it is. Let's look, said Cyril, jumping into the hole. I'm not afraid of snakes, I like them. So the word that means the same thing as scared is afraid. Well done. So, just the one word I need to write down there for that one. Question number 2. But Cyril merely observed that his sister must have gone off her head. What other word could have been used instead of merely in this statement? What other word could have been used instead of merely in this statement? So, you need to know what the word merely means. Now, if you don't know what it means, what you could do is just substitute each of those 4 words for the word merely and see which ones make sense, and then we can narrow it down and see if we can have a bit of a better attempt at it. So let's try it. So instead of "but Cyril merely observed," we're going to go "but Cyril murky observed." That does make sense. "But Cyril slowly observed." Yeah, that could make sense. "But Cyril watched observed." Well, we know that watched means the same thing as observed, don't we? So there's no way it's watched. "But Cyril just observed." It could be that. So we've now narrowed it down, so we know it's not murky, we know it's not watched, so it's one of those two now, isn't it? It's either slowly or it's just. Now, this is where it sort of comes down to, you might be able to get it right or you might just know, but this one should be the word just. "But Cyril just observed." Merely basically means the same as just. Okay, but do you see how we narrowed it down from 4 options to 2 options? Just by actually systematically working through it. So if you're not sure, it's always better to try and work it out rather than just randomly guess. Okay? You might get a better shot at getting it right. Question number 3. Look at the section beginning, "The children stood round the hole in a ring." Read the description of the creature and complete the table below. So we've got write 2 adjectives used, and we've got write 2 similes used. So this is testing a bit of your word class knowledge. You should all know what an adjective is, and hopefully you know what simile is. I'm sure Purple class do, because I go on about them all the time. Here's all the possible answers you could have had for the adjectives that I've written down. Adjectives, we've got long, where it says long horns, tubby, thick, soft, furry, brown, and fat. Those are all the adjectives I listed. If you've got anything different, I'll let you know if you've uploaded a photo to me. That'll be fine. But yeah, those are all the adjectives I spotted. And similes that I found were like a snail's eyes, and like a bat's ears, like telescopes, like a spider's, or like a monkey's. All of those are similes, okay? Anything that uses like or as is a simile. And the way I always tell my class to remember it is because a word is similar to something else. So it's a simile. There you go. That's one way of remembering it. Okay, question 4. Look at the section beginning, "But Cyril merely observed." What does Anthea do while she is sat on the edge of the hole? So I'm going to find that section, "But Cyril merely observed." There it is, just underneath it said, "You let me alone." "But Cyril merely observed that his sister must have gone off her head, and he and Robert dug with spades while Anthea sat on the edge of the hole." Here we go. So what did she do while she sat on the edge of the hole? While Anthea sat on the edge of the hole, jumping up and down with hotness and anxiety. So that's formed my answer there, because this is a retrieval question. I'm going to pull it from the text and write it down. So what does Anthea do while she sat on the edge of the hole? I've written down, jump up and down with hotness and anxiety. That's the bit that gives me the mark, so that's the bit I've retrieved and written down. Question number 5. Why do the children all look at each other when the creature first speaks? Now, this is an interesting one because I don't personally think this is a retrieval question, because retrieval means to take from the text and write down. This one says, why do the children all look at each other when the creature first speaks. It seems like an inference one to me, because it's not something I can pull from the text on that one. There is no actual thing in the text that tells me why the children look at each other. But I've written down because it's in order to see if the other children heard it too, because they're all sort of checking to make sure they're not, going crazy. So to see if the other children heard it too is what I wrote down. That seems like the best answer to me. Okay, question number 6. How does the creature describe itself? Well, the only time the creature actually properly talks to them is at the very end, if you remember. And the last thing it says, right at the end of the text, is, "Don't you know a sand fairy when you see one?" So that's how it describes itself, doesn't it? All the other bits are describing the creature from the author. This is the creature describing itself at the very end. So, don't you know a sand fairy when you see one? So it's a sand fairy. That's the answer. As a sand fairy, that's how it's being described. It's describing itself. Right, question number 7, the inference questions. So, what is Anthea trying to do when she says, "It sounds silly, but it said something. It really, truly did"? So, tick 1 for this one. What's she trying to do when she says, "It sounds silly, but it said something. It really, truly did"? Is she trying to show off, frighten others, persuade the others, or make the others laugh? She's saying it sounds silly, but it's something it really truly did. And you've got to think about the way it's being said. It sounds silly, but it said something. It really truly did. She's trying to persuade the others, isn't she? That's what she's trying to do. She's trying to persuade the others that what she's saying is true. Okay, she's not trying to show off or frighten the others or make the others laugh. Okay, the only one that does make sense is to persuade the others. So that is the one you tick. Okay, persuade the others. Question 8. Do you think the creature really just dropped asleep? So this is one, again, you've got to think. Do you think the creature really just dropped asleep? Now, I remember there being something about it just dropping to sleep. Let me just find that in the text. There it is, near the bottom, right near the bottom. It says at the beginning of the line, "I believe I must have dropped to sleep," it said, scratching itself. Okay, so do we really believe the creature had just dropped off to sleep? Okay, is that what we really believe? Circle 1, so is it yes or no? Well, the answer should be no for this one. And the reason why is because if you look at the evidence around you, it will tell you that the creature has actually been asleep for a very long time. It did not just drop off to sleep. It has been asleep for a long time. So let's have a look at the evidence. So we've got, "I believe I must have dropped asleep," it said, stretching itself. Now when you stretch, you've just woken up. That's an idea that you have been asleep a long time. If you just dropped off, you wouldn't be stretching like that. So that tells me it's been asleep a long time. What else does it say? Just a bit before it, I can see there. Brown furry fat came rolling out of the hole and the sand fell off it. It sat there yawning and rubbing the ends of its eyes with its hands. So very, very tired, going, rubbing the ends of its eyes with its hands. We know it's been asleep a long time. All those things in there. There was something else I wrote down. I read about its dry and husky voice. I forget where it said that now. Didn't say that. A bit further up. Then suddenly a dry husky voice in the sand made them all jump back. So the dry husky voice, if you've got a dry husky voice, that means you've been asleep a long time. So let me read you what I've written. This would be your model answer. So I said no, because it stretched itself. It was it was deep underground and its voice was dry and husky. All of these points suggest that the creature has been asleep for a long time. So that's the point I'm trying to get across, that it's been asleep for a long time. But how do I know it's been asleep for a long time? Well, I've given the evidence in the text. That tells me how. Okay. I'd also have accepted the yawning and rubbing ends of the hands, ends of the eyes with the hands. That would also have told me. I didn't write that down, but that was more evidence. But I think I've got enough evidence to get myself the mark in that one. So you needed to back it up with the evidence to get yourself the full marks. Question number 9. What was the creature thinking when the children were digging the hole? So we've got an option to choose from here. Tick 1 thought. So is the creature thinking, don't they know a sand fairy when they see one? How lovely some children to play with. Or why can't they just leave me alone? Or I've got ears like a bat. So what was the creature thinking when the children were digging the hole? So we've got to look back to where the children were digging the hole to find that one. So where the children were digging the hole. Yeah, well, I can see right there the first thing it says is let me alone after it's been digging the hole. So let me alone, yeah, that is going to be similar to one of these points. Why can't they just leave me alone? It's very similar, that's the one, isn't it? But let's just double check the others. Don't they know Sam throw when they see one? That's the last thing he says, so I know that's not when he's digging the hole, so it can't be that one. How lovely, some children to play with. There was nothing in there about that anyway, so it's not that. And I've got ears like a bat. Well, it never said that. The author was describing that, so no. The only one that does make sense is why can't they just leave me alone? But I've also figured out systematically where it should be in the text, so it's definitely why can't they just leave me alone? Right, number 10. Summarising. Using the whole text, tick one box in each row to show whether each statement is true or false. So we've got 3 statements and we've got true or false. So, true or false, the children knew they would find a sand fairy. That one is false. We should know that because they were speculating it could have been a snake or something like that. They weren't sure, so they did not know they were going to find a sand fairy. That's what we found out at the end. That is false. Okay, they didn't know that until the very end. Okay, so they did not know that to begin with. Second one, Anthea wanted to dig with spades. Let's have a look back through the text. Pretty sure she wants to use her hands. Yep, there it is. No, not the spade. You'll dig it. You'll hurt it. Dig with your hands is what Anthea says. So she wants to dig with the hands. Okay, so not that one. That one is going to be another false. And then we've got Anthea is the first one to see the creature. So we just double check to where that was. So the dry husky voice before that. Yep, beginning of the line. Oh, I felt fur, she cried. That is then Anthea. Then Anthea fell on her knees and began to scratch like a dog does when he has suddenly remembered where it has buried his bone. Oh, I felt fur, she cried. So, yep, Anthea is the first one because she's the one being described there. It's Anthea is the first one. That one is true. So it should have been false, false, true for question number 10. Question 11. Authorial intent. The children stood round the hole in a ring, looking at the creature they had found. It was worth looking at. Why does the author write, it was worth looking at? So again, this is one where we have to use our brains and have a little think. Why does the author write, it was worth looking at? So this one, here's what I've written. This is my interpretation of it. I said, to make the reader want to read on and find out what the creature looked like. Okay, because before it starts describing it, that's what it says, isn't it? It was worth looking at. So in your mind, you hear that and go, oh, well, why was it worth looking at? I want to know. I want to read on and find out why it's worth looking at. Okay, it's trying to make you intrigued, to make you interested in what's being described. So that's why the author decided to do that. And question number 12. Which 2 of the children are scared of snakes? Use evidence from the text to show why you think this. So I need to write down the children's name, and then I need to write evidence from the text which tells me exactly why that child is scared of the snakes. So the first child I've identified is Robert, and my evidence is when Cyril talks about keeping a rat in their bed in their bedroom, Robert doesn't mind, but when he suggests a snake, he says, no, you won't. And that's what he literally says. So I've written that with inverted commas either side, because that's literally taken from the text. He says, no, you won't. Okay. The other character is Jane. If we remember, she was the one shuddering. We did that word yesterday. So here's my evidence. Jane says, perhaps it is a snake, said Jane, shuddering. The fact that Jane is shuddering suggests that she is scared of snakes. That's what I wrote down. So just to show you what mine looks like, okay? So the fact that she is shuddering suggests she's scared of snakes, okay? So again, I was detailed. I didn't just put the quotes in there. To be honest, the quotes would probably in year 3 get you the mark. I'm just being really, really guaranteeing that I am definitely getting all of my marks, okay? I'm using full sentences. I'm taking evidence from the text, and that's backing up what I'm trying to say. So that is all of the questions. So well done. We've done really well this week. I'm really impressed. So tomorrow is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to give you a slightly shorter comprehension task to do tomorrow, and that one is going to be not with a video of me guiding you through it. This one's going to be have a go independently and see what you can do. Okay, it's going to be much shorter than the ones we've done this week, but that's how I think I'm going to do Fridays, because on Fridays I'll be going back into school to look after key worker children. So that is how I'm going to do things on Friday. But if you can still upload any photos to your portfolios, I will still definitely be checking them and definitely still see them. It just might mean that I won't be able to respond straight away. But really well done, everyone. This has been a really good week, but this is basically the format of how our week's going to go. We're going to get 2 texts like this every week. Obviously there's set A and set B, so it'll be Monday, Tuesday, set A, set B, Wednesday, Thursday, set A, set B, and then we've got Friday as the new text. That's how we're going to do things. So yeah, really well done, everyone, and I will see you in the next video next week for that one. But tomorrow will be the spelling test, so I'll see you for that too. Okay, take care.